All right, what's up, guys? We're back with episode 2 of the podcast. That's not necessarily a podcast yet. I'm Max LePage. I'm a physical therapist in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I'm here with my good friends, owners of TriFit Barbell. So I'll let them introduce themselves. We're just going to have kind of a conversation about a bunch of stuff, but we're going to gear things towards business a little bit, and then just go with the flow. So you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Cool. I'm Logan Krieger, co-owner of TriFit Barbell. I tend to lean a little bit more towards strength training and powerlifting, but I like to consider myself kind of a bodybuilding enthusiast. That's kind of where my passions were born out of. And then, yeah, we've been doing this since 2016. We launched November 2016. And here we are.
4 years already?
Dude, November this year will be 4 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm Chad Biggie, his business partner. And so, yeah, we started this whole thing together. And our goal was to basically provide a space that we could work with every dynamic and every athlete of every background. Definitely the same thing. Like we tend to, I think, not favor so much is work with a lot of strength athletes, some conditioning, and a good bit of people that just want to be more aesthetic and appear better, so that's kind of the space that we have now where we get to work with everyone from any different background.
Word. So the cool thing I feel like when I get to talk to you guys is that, for one, we've known each other since before you guys had TriFit, and so it was kind of just like on the personal training side in the Globo gym. So I always feel like when I think about people who are doing kind of cool shit and have kind of, I don't know, they're just doing it. They're just actually like putting their money where their mouth is. They're running a business. They're training themselves. I always feel like you guys are the inspiration for a lot of stuff that I think about doing in the rehab world. But obviously it's been not without many challenges along the way. So obviously COVID right now is the biggest challenge. So how has Chad talked to me about a little bit about how have things been going with COVID?
You want to answer this one?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's weird to me, right? There's kind of this idea that we should be distanced and at home, quarantined, all this stuff. But I think it's, for a lot of people, kind of highlighted that if I don't get out, I'll go stir crazy. So it has actually been pretty good as far as membership. And then I think on underlying all of that, it's also highlighted this, hey, if I'm a healthy person, I'll probably get through sickness a little bit better. So maybe I should kind of pay a little bit more attention to my health, my eating, my strength, all that sort of thing. So we have been fortunate enough to have a rather big space that people can spread out in. We have fans throughout the gym floor, and it's very open air. So I think there have been some studies to suggest that fans and airflow will help minimize your risk. So while people are staying a little bit more separate, I think they feel a little bit more comfortable in our sort of gym instead of being in like a tiny enclosure, much like you would see at like one of the little retail pop-up gyms. So it's been good for a business sense here, but it's also from like a back end and like a financial struggle. It's been just different, having to kind of jump the hurdles of making sure that we stay in business. But all in all, I can't say anything like it's been bad. It's just been different, and I don't think that means anything negative or positive, really. It's just, well, we got to focus our attention on this now. So
Sure. So much uncertainty over the past few months, which that was everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was going on through almost all of it, So
Yeah, it's weird too, because I feel like I definitely get what you're saying with I think people definitely recognize like, okay, my kind of veil of false sense of security that I can be unhealthy and maybe there's not as much risk as, there appears to be. Well, in the case that a pandemic comes around, which obviously is the first one that's been kind of global and at this scale, people I think recognize that like, hey, maybe I am vulnerable with the way that I eat and the way that I sleep and the lack of exercise and things like that. So on one hand, I feel like that realization, at least for those of the population who've chosen to make it, has been kind of beneficial. But I feel like on the business side of things, it's been really interesting for me to, obviously it's such a difficult time for everyone, I think, on some level, and certain businesses are kind
Sure.
of like
Yeah.
totally shattered by the regulations that were put in place. And you can obviously go into the politics of all that stuff, and I don't think that that's the direction I would feel most comfortable going, just from a knowledge perspective, but everything else. But what's been interesting to me, my dad is a mechanical engineer, and he runs a plant down in North Carolina, and his plant, they produce the graphics that go on packaging for big companies like pudding companies and Coca-Cola and all those stuff. I don't know if it's those companies specifically, but big corporate things. And obviously food throughout the pandemic has been in massively high demand. So I know that they were struggling before coronavirus to some extent. And then after coronavirus, their business shot up and they're raking in money. And obviously, I don't know the details, but you think of gym manufacturers, right? The gym equipment manufacturers, their businesses went through the roof. When I bought the barbell that I bought, the guy told me he sold 4,000 barbells in 1 month of one type of barbell. This was at Carolina Fitness Equipment, the guys that you know. He said this one type of Olympic barbell, he sold 4,000 in 1 month. And I think he said usually he sells 4,000 like a year or just something crazy like that. So on one side, they're doing great. And then a lot of other gyms go out of business. Food processing, grocery stores doing great, restaurants out of business. So you get like these two sides of the coin within the same industry, and one side is struggling and the other side is seeing a boom. And I feel like that's been difficult because even within like what is already a divisive kind of socio-political landscape, now you have people profiting and being kind of destroyed by the same thing to add on to the level of divisiveness that already exists within like what people's perspectives are. So that's good to hear that you guys have managed to survive that.
I think you're touching on a bit of a bigger like topic. I think honestly, like one of the things that this has done is highlight some things that have been coming, like given a long enough timeline, these things would have come to pass anyway. This just accelerated the process, right? Because like we look at some of these big club gyms that are finally saying, well, we can't sustain this model in this type of environment. And I think over the long term, you've seen where like huge square footage facilities that offer all the amenities, people are largely moving away from that, and they're looking to join places that fill their specific goal, right? And that was one of the things we really wanted to be able to do for our athletes, was say, hey, if you've got this goal, you just need the structure to get there. Of course, allow us to coach you to it. You pay one fee, you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to go find the right trainer for you. You don't have to buy the 30 different amenities that this place offers. And again, like if you say, hey, I want this thing, you go find that place that does it nowadays. You don't go to, other than something like a Walmart where it's like a one-stop shop.
Sure.
Again,
maybe it's almost like the service too. The fact that we are a community gym and we are the owners, the coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
If a toilet breaks, we're going to be fixing it, kind of thing. So I think to some degree, the reason why we were able to get through the shutdown and then come out the other side and still be able to function as a business, as opposed to just in our area, there were several big global gyms that shut down. They probably had more members than we did. So why were we able to make it through? Well, we have a community of people that know that we care about their health. And so in return, they kind of cared about supporting us in our business. So I think that's a huge perk for owning a small business, is that we get to know our members on a very personal level. They know that our intentions are good. We truly care about their success.
Yeah.
I think that is lost in these big gyms. It's hard to find when you have a series of staff members corporate leaders making decisions, that, you know, trainers. When we used to work for a big gym, it's like people would complain to us like, hey, this is something we don't like about the gym. Here's a complaint. And as trainers, it's, yeah, okay, what do you want me to do? Yeah. So we have no power over that. Whereas here, we take in everyone's opinion and consider it. Hey, is this something that we could actually address and fix? And, you know, there may be other members in the gym that have that same opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and again, like, that's our membership base likes us. And now I have proof of it, right? We wouldn't have been able to, huge shout out to the entire TriFit fam. Chad and I had some conversations, and we were like, listen, this was leading into the shutdown. We were closed for 6 weeks from April 1st to May 18th. And we were heading into that. And I remember having the conversations being like, all right, listen, if this happens, we've got this much time. If this happens, we've got this much time. And it would not have been possible to be here if it weren't for our membership base. And I think, again, it's like you find these small places or smaller facilities now that just, they drive passion about what you're doing rather than walking into a door and just trying to look around and find, well, what do I want to do with my training? I think you spend maybe a few months in that type of gym and then you're immediately searching for something like us.
Max, it's like what we talked about yesterday is we're genuine. Like you talk to me and Logan, it's like, it's pretty obvious within the first 5 minutes. We're just being ourselves and we love what we do. And we made a space to try to provide a service like that. But I think people see that when you go to franchises. They see that there's an individual that's being paid minimum wage to stand behind a desk, to put on a shirt, to fake a smile, to sell a product they don't care, or a service they really don't have passion for because there's nothing in it for them. For us, this is everything. So I think that comes out a lot. And so we're super fortunate that people get that and appreciate it, and we appreciate them. So
yeah, and at the end of the day, it was, I think, again, like, it's one of those things that this whole pandemic has highlighted those kind of, this was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah. And I mean, I was seeing a bunch of CrossFit gyms that I follow, and even ones in the area here in Philly, posting like, you know, that their members are sending them DMs, offering them to, like, hey, whatever you need, like if you need $500 up front, or you need this or that, or like, we'll help you and we'll keep you afloat. And to the point where I would then see those gyms, you know, towards the end of the lockdown, they were saying like, hey, we're going to give you the entire month of June free, or we're going to give you the entire, and then that now they're giving back. So obviously they're in a good enough position that, you know, they got through this. And even for me, like I train at a relatively commercial gym. I mean, when I was training MMA up until my last rotation, there's obviously a closer, tight knit, like I know the owner type of relationship. But even my gym, when we closed in March and then they charged me for the month of April, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, these bastards. I was like, these guys are stealing my money, man. But if I was still part of the MMA gym, or if I was part of a CrossFit gym, I would 100% be reaching out like, hey, if you need me to keep paying, continue to pay. But even for me, just the fact that it's a commercial, like multiple location, big corporation type of gym, and it's not like a Gold's Gym, but even to that end, I was like, you sons of bitches are trying to take my money, because I don't know the owners. I don't know if they care about me as a person. You know,
Right.
if it's a CrossFit gym, I know that they probably care. And if it's you guys, I know you care. But I don't have all that much drive to support a company whose owner I have no idea who they are. I don't even know the manager. I just know the front desk people, and they don't really care. I mean, I was in the front desk. If I was in a pandemic, like, I'm not there to support the kind of greater community here. I'm just, you know, making $7 an hour as a high school student.
Yeah,
so,
right.
yeah, I feel like you're spot on with that.
Too. Like, I mean, and that's, I mean, you know, I also am very thankful that, I mean, there was never a good time for something like this ever. Right?
Yeah.
However, we were very, very fortunate that we started a business 4 years ago.
Yeah, thank God we had
If this
almost a little over 3 years
open
going
November of 2019, this would have been a very different story.
Yeah,
So
we
also,
probably would be sitting here.
I think there's some great businesses. I've seen family-owned restaurants that close down,
Yeah.
and it's a shame. And I can't imagine going through that. But I think timing plays such a vital role. If you haven't already been in business long enough to have a decent following, it says a lot about, I think, your business. If you have good traction, you got a good following, like you have members that are very happy, successful, continuing to support, then that's great. But if your business, if you're just starting out, you really do have to consider,
I couldn't imagine it
worst case scenario, because that's it right here. There's still a lot of uncertainty. Who knows where we'll be in a year from now? I think anybody out there starting a business, just forewarning, know what you're getting into. There may be a time that you won't be able to take any sort of revenue because something like this could happen. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I cannot imagine having opened a business in November 2019, unless it was like a food distribution business or gym manufacturing. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it is obviously incredibly devastating for some of the family-owned businesses that are suffering from it. And I mean, hopefully there's an uptick back. And I know, like, even for Marissa and I, we've done our best to try to spend money, like local food restaurants, take out all that kind of stuff. But it's obviously still challenging. So tell me a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about, because obviously when you guys opened, I was in my last year of undergrad, and then shortly after I left for Philly for grad school. So I, although kept in touch with you guys and would visit once in a while, I wasn't necessarily there during the first year of struggle and the challenges that you guys faced. So what's your experience in the early stage of opening a business? How do you look back at it? Like, what's the framework that you use to evaluate kind of how things went? And just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, the metric, I think the biggest metric we have for are we getting better was membership going up. And I guess I should say all of this was like, keep it as simple as we could. The very beginning, and the only idea, I think we still hold it true, is get people inside the building. If they get inside the building, they sign up, they don't, whatever, at least we had our shot to do it, right? And we basically did everything under the sun we could to try and get people in. We were fortunate enough to have a relationship. We both got, you could say, certifications, like surface level certification from Greenville Tech, and then we got our national certification. So we had relationships with local education, and we had interns. We had them running flyers in the neighborhoods. We were trying, we spent so much money in the beginning trying different things like radio ads, social media ads, print ads. We were just doing everything.
A lot of trial.
Yeah, it was a lot of trial there.
And then just taking notes of what didn't work and
fine-tuning
pretty much moving off. Like, we did some radio ads, realized that was super expensive. Absolutely not worth.
We did get a person. I'll never forget. We got one person.
Really?
Off it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well,
they're not here anymore.
Yeah, they're not here anymore.
It was the radio show host. It was the only person who you got through to. So what were some of the things that, like, big picture, you feel like worked, and some of the things that you didn't work? You obviously already said radio didn't work, but what did you find like was the successful kind of recipe if you were to open another gym?
Was the two things that we always heard, and I know Chad and I talked about this in the very beginning, but the two things we heard people coming in that they said, different people would say kind of consistently: internet, and I saw your big bay doors open. So we have an interesting facility. Half the building opens up because of bay doors. So it was foot traffic, and then internet searching. And then I want to say, like, if you're not thinking about referrals in a gym setting, then you're just not doing it right. So of course, I would say that was the biggest kind of thing coming in. You get a couple people, you get a couple more, and then it just snowballs into something bigger. But one of the things we always said was, like, how do people search for gyms nowadays? You don't jump into your car and go drive around all the different gyms. You're not looking, you get to a destination out of it. So you hop on the internet and you search and you find us. So that was our big thing, was like, okay, how do we make an internet presence? And from day one, it's been just constant little things on Instagram, Facebook, and making sure that we have at least just some sort of content going out so that people would find us, share us, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that was
Yeah,
It was
I
pretty
mean, I
much
think that was a
so.
lot of it. You know, at the beginning, there was so few
Yeah.
people that we were able to work with, but I think it gave us a little bit of time to also develop our system.
That's a
You know,
great point.
so
Yeah,
we when we started, we were taking a little bit of the CrossFit model where you would have group quotes. We would use dry erase boards. We would post the workouts. Every member that came through would we basically sectioned off into classes.
Yeah.
For a while there.
And I want to say we've been like through maybe 3 or 4 different kind of iterations now of
It's
that
just
model.
slowly grown and developed, but it started with classes and dry erase boards, so very much like CrossFit. But we did understand that there were dynamics of CrossFit that we wanted to do a little different. Instead of one group load for everybody, we broke it up into 2 sections: strength and athletics. So we would do like a conditioning routine or a strength routine, or someone could do a little bit of both. But people come in at certain times to be taught a certain class.
Yeah.
That
I remember
that
that
only
now.
worked for so long. As we grew, as we got more members, which was good, we also found that that did not cater to people's time schedules. We would have people coming in 15 minutes late, people showing up 30 minutes early, ready to start, people wanting to modify class saying, oh, I missed that one from Friday. Can I do that even though it's Monday? Okay, I guess there's no harm.
Like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
just because it's on the board doesn't mean you can't.
Sure.
Do it, you know?
So we started to break it up in separate sections, more subcategories, more complex for us on the board. So which we still have the board system, which is like a strength board, an athletic board, an aesthetic board, and that's for all our open gym members. But for all of our program members, we quickly realized, well, not quickly.
Well, I think it was something we knew, like even when
Yeah.
we were trainers, that putting out blanket statement kind of programs for massive amounts of different people with unique injury histories and backgrounds and different training goals, and it was like, it never made sense to us. So it
We
was
just kept hitting this roadblock.
So we quickly kind of moved away
Yeah.
from that and separated that into
now programming.
our
literally
coach
developing-
membership is what it
Exactly.
became.
So something much more specific. We're able to keep track of adherence and how they're progressing and take notes on if we reach a hiccup. And, you know, as we know, if you're an athlete, you're eventually going to hit some sort of speed bump, but we can address it. We can talk about it. We can explore different options. And then as their skill develops, their goals develop, the program can also develop with them. So getting as far away from, I think, the one size fits all cookie cutter style of programming that we see on dry erase boards was the best thing that we ever did. I think our success rate really blossomed and shot off once we adapted that.
Yeah,
kind of
really,
training model.
that became kind of like our niche and our separation was like, one, you can do your CrossFit workouts in here at a much cheaper rate than you would CrossFit. So why not? And then 2, if you have a specific thing you're working on, you get that designed and developed just for you specifically. So you get that kind of like, you get that personal touch, right? And like, I think that's what creates kind of the passion in here, is this, or
We
these
made
types,
something for you.
yeah,
It's-
these
it's,
types
you
of,
know, it's-
this job in general is very, very personal, right? Like you're spending one-on-one time with somebody in order to help their body, the thing they live and travel and do literally their world inside of, you're helping that thing improve. And you don't get that sense out of like walking into a place where it's like one of 30 different ellipticals you get to choose from, you know? And here it's like, I'm working in here to improve this thing that is me. And that personal, that customization, that flexibility became, I think, something really, really important for people in here. So
now
that's one thing we wanted, was just flexibility for our athletes from the very beginning.
So now
us as
you
well.
do.
made it easier for us to coach when it came down.
Yeah, we could scale it too. That was also kind
scaled
of
so much better. We didn't have to panic about missing out on anybody because everybody had a plan. And for the most part, as long as we did a pretty good job at communicating and getting them to understand what we expect from them, now we do a full week assessment before they even get their own program. And in that assessment, that also helps them start to understand our system. So there's a lot of communication and information that we're giving that we're able to scale and work with 10 athletes at a time, all working on their own personal program and personal health, with only one coach that's able to literally just bounce around to where they're needed. Oh, this athlete needs me to watch your squat. Excellent. Or this athlete needs clarification on this particular set and rep scheme. Awesome. We can be there. I think it's not easier so much for us, but it's much more manageable. You know, we're better at our job.
better at it. Yeah, honestly, we're better at it.
Yeah.
So you don't have scheduled class times anymore.
Correct.
No, sir.
Okay. So the tiers of membership is like you can be a member of the gym, walk in and use the facility, and that's it. And then the other tier is essentially individualized, personalized coaching in addition to the membership.
Yep. And then we do like a third option, which is like if you would like to reserve a full hour or half an hour with a coach, just
Right.
nobody else gets any. We have that option too. We're putting it out there for I think some of our very, very novice beginners need a little more attention. But we've seen people who are absolute beginners go just into the program membership and excel. It's really what they put into it. But some people just need a little more time with like someone to walk with them. You know, if they're gonna start by walking, we'll eventually walk with them, and if we walk with them, they'll get up to a run eventually.
It's basically just how, like, if you go up our membership scale, then you get more involvement from a trainer or coach and whatever. So it makes it a little bit easier, I think, just to be like, oh, cool, I pay this price, I get this thing. I don't have to go and shop out and piece out everything else I want.
Or even like the personal training, and I think personal training is always good. People need one-on-one attention. It's definitely always going to have a place. But we found as personal trainers originally, we would have people come up to us in the gym, hey, I have a question for you, but I don't want to have to pay for an hour of your time, which is very expensive. And as we know, it's like, especially now with the current situation, people's finances are tight. Everybody, I mean, for the most part, is probably have to be careful of, you know, how much they're spending. Here, it's like we can literally give you basically personalized training on the fly. So,
sorry, I'm in the bathroom.
Nice.
I'll be right back.
okay. But yeah, anyway, so that was cool. That was something that we wanted to do originally anyway. Was the personal training had its place, but the personal training also seems to be, one, can they comfortably afford it, which is difficult for a lot of people. I mean, at the gym that we worked at, the cheapest an hour would be $45. Now, I made a very, very small fraction of that. However, that was the cost.
And that's pretty low too. Like if you look at Philly or, I mean, big cities like New York, that can go up to $100, $150 an hour. Like it gets pretty crazy with.
That's insane, man. I've heard, yeah, people from like Atlanta, same thing, like guys charging $200 an hour. I'm like, that's absurd to me. But anyway, yeah, in our mind, it's just like, how can we help people on a scale? And if we're doing our job right, if we're really good at this, we should be able to teach them enough that I can turn my back and get a sip of water and turn around and they're still doing what I asked.
Right.
You know, and so here it's all about education, information. They learn along with us. Now it's a much more accelerated situation than like, shoot, I'll pick on you and I. It's just like, think about how many years you and I have been involved in health and fitness and how long that span goes. In here, I wish I had me, the adult version, 30-plus-year-old me now, to talk to my 18-year-old self to explain to him how much he could learn and then accelerate his training at a much more rapid rate.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do here is accelerate, like, hey, we're going to give you so much information that you're going to learn stuff that it took us years to learn and understand from experience and reading and meeting other coaches and PTs. And we've gathered so much information that's what we're trying to do now is like, hey, we can accelerate you to a point that you'll have such a good, sound understanding of health and fitness once you've worked in here for several months that all you need is just someone to plan out your programming and you'll be super successful.
So what do you feel like after 4 years of, obviously now you've been open long enough and take COVID kind of unique challenges out of it, but 4 years into the business and you're out of kind of the woods of trying to figure out, do I do radio? Do I do advertisements on this or that platform? What do you feel like now is still kind of the daily grind, the biggest challenge, the thing that's like, this is still hard, or this is still a big challenge after 4 years of being in business?
Getting up at 4 a.m.
That's fair.
No, man, that's gotten easier, setting this straight schedule.
I don't know how that can get easier ever.
I don't know. It was rough at first. But I don't know. Eventually my body acclimated, I guess.
Do you know Jocko Willink?
Yeah, is he the dude that posts everything in black and white? And it's always like a watch. That dude, yeah. He is my morning inspiration as well. I'm like, he'll do it every day, 3:50 a.m., 3:30
Yeah, I know,
a.m.
it's ridiculous.
Going.
Like you go to bed at like 3 p.m. I don't understand. If I was getting the same amount of sleep that I get now and I woke up at 3 a.m., I would be going to sleep like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's definitely a huge difference in that. I mean, this is just kind of fun talk, but it's like there was a time I was getting up at 3:30 to meet one of our other coaches here to work out from basically 4 till about 5 so that I can coach the rest of the day. That was awful. I will probably never do that again. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like during some of my rotations, I would wake up at 4:15 and be at the gym from like 5 a.m. until 6:30, back home, shower, and obviously I'm walking everywhere, so these transitions are quick, but back home, shower, eat, prepare my lunch for the day, and then clinic from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., drive home, search for Philly parking. I get home around I get home around 9:30, make dinner, eat, in bed by 11:30, and then like boom, I got to wake up at 4:30 again. I was like, God damn it, like this is impossible. How do I do this?
But well, and I think that's just it though, because I've had people ask me, how do you do it? I don't have a choice. You know, it's like I wish there was some deep secret or like inspirational, but I think to some extent that it is kind of the best answer you need to hear. If there is something that is important to you, then you'll make it happen. Like set that standard. But I mean, for real, like this business means the most to us. Like it's everything we got. It's the one thing we have to show for our years of. I mean, there was a time, and I was just talking to one of the members earlier about it, where Logan would do 6 days a week. I would do 6 days a week, and so we'd have literally one day off, and then occasionally it wouldn't always pan out like that.
Oh no, I remember
we'd have to split shift Saturday, so we'd do 7 even. So
I think one of my longest runs was almost 24 days in a row. I want to say something like that, you know? I mean, and it was, you know, even like the day off wasn't a day off because you had to do everything that you could do on the other day.
Prepare for your next day. So
it's like I finally get enough time to do all of the little things that I've postponed for, you know, an insane amount of time. And I feel like I was thinking about this at the gym the other day too, actually, is whenever I was in so I feel like I used to get people who would ask me like, how do you stay consistent with the gym and stay consistent with food and all that stuff? And I feel like the ability to make a decision about something that you're going to do and have that decision be final, no questions asked, and at no point in the future do I leave myself any opportunity to modify the decision I made in the past. This is like going to jail or investing your money in someone else's business. This should be something that's so final that there is no ability to ask yourself whether or not you're going to modify that decision afterwards. And it was the same thing when I was in contest prep, when I competed in bodybuilding, where it was like, okay, I've just decided that for the next 9 months, 39 weeks, I'm going to hit my macros within plus or minus 5 every single day, 6 days a week. The 7th day, I get an extra however many grams of carbs, but I'm still going to hit that. I'm going to fit any like seldom alcohol that I drink is going to go fit into this, and everything is going to be structured. I'm going to hit this cardio. I'm going to hit these workouts, and every single box ticked for 9 months straight. Right. And people would ask like, how do you do that? And it's nothing like special. Like I'm motivated every single day to get up, walk on the treadmill for 50 minutes and then train for 2.5 hours because I'm too exhausted to do anything more quickly than that. I could have done this in 30 minutes had I had enough calories. It's like none of this is something that I get up motivated to do. It was just the fact that I already decided I was going to do it. And I don't wake up and reconsider the decision. I already made the decision. It was 3 months ago that I decided. And I feel like the ability to make a decision and no longer revisit it is such a powerful thing for me, because at the point that you decide that something is going to happen, some element of your life is going to be in place and you're able to stick to that, everything becomes so much more simple. Like I always tell people when it comes to lifting, what I accomplish in my life, career-wise, family-wise, 401k, retirement, assets, everything that I want to accomplish in my life, I better find a way to do it in 22 hours, because the other two I'm training. And that's the matter of fact. And if I can't accomplish something within 22 hours, then it's okay. It's just not in the cards for me. But the health and exercise component, that is in there forever. And I'm going to have to adjust the rest of my life around that. And that's just the way it is. And the reason I'm comfortable doing that is because I know that those 2 hours training, they buy me hours of productivity. Absolutely. I'm not selling productivity in return for this. I'm buying it with this. So I'm able to make that and say it kind of in that kind of arrogant, comfortable way, because the reality is I know that's making me more capable of doing all of the other things, not less. So, but yeah, I was thinking about that at the gym the other day too. And it's certainly relevant for a business. It's like, you can't commit to this business and then continually ask yourself, is this a good idea? Was this a good idea? Should I go in or out? Like, at some point you do have to go full in and say, I already decided I'm going to own a business. And if that requires me to work 7 days a week, well, I already decided that's what I was going to do. And obviously at a certain point you can reevaluate things if that kind of need comes up, but it's way too easy to second guess difficult decisions, 2 months after, when you're in the thick of it.
And then we just never had anybody we had each other. That was a blessing.
Thank God.
I would never have done this without him.
Oh my God. I would not have been able to do the solo, period. I would have killed myself. Literally working to the ground.
Burn down the building.
Oh my God.
First month.
So, but I think that's the thing, is like timelines, right? We've been at this for years, but this is still an infant business. Like, this is, you talk about, like, you have 2 hours in your day and the rest of, is going to be to training. And it's like, well, you're going to do that for life. What does it matter if something's difficult today? That is an absolute just little blip on the screen. It's like, give me a week or so. That's not long. A few months, that's not a long time. A year, well, no, that's not really not that long. Like, you got to do that multiples of years for that to actually drive any sort of change in the body or in business. Like,
I think being willing to change a little bit and adjust and acclimate and then grow, take notes, like, be analytical with your training.
It's fun.
Should
like,
also be with your business too. And I think that's how we've made it. Like, we've been pretty good. We literally met every day for 2 hours. We would cross paths. He did the evening, I did the morning. We would just talk like this about how the day went. And it'd be sometimes the most minute, not important details. And that's still occasionally the conversation, but a lot of it is just like discussion. And we're invested in the time. We want to get better. We want to know that what we went into, what isn't just one of those places that eventually fades away. In no way do we want to just fade away. If we go out on our own terms, but we're not here to go out by any means. We're only here to blow up in a positive.
So a lot of people, obviously, and I have this reservation when I think about, like, opening a clinic at some point or doing some kind of business venture on my own. I always have the reservation, and I think a lot of people kind of perpetuate the reservation of, like, don't go into business with your friend or your family. Like, stay, if you can do it on your own, do it on your own, because there's too much risk of, squabbles or whatever back and forth. So what do you feel like you guys had as a bromance that made it work for you guys?
First, like, I very much love you, buddy. Yeah. I very much prescribe to if you can't do it, find someone who can. Or if you're not good at it, find someone who's better than you. Like, you're going to need other people, period. That's fact, right? As far as what we had, a deep burning desire for each other's bodies. That's yeah. I like his beard.
I'll just turn the I'll stop recording right now if you guys need to.
Give us a moment.
No, but I think that for sure. Like, he pretty much kind of put the nail on the head there. It's just like, when you do go into business, let's say you go in 100% by yourself. You're going to do it all yourself. You're eventually going to have to reach out to other people to help bring in something. You're going to need outside assistance, whether it's like your POS system or like a project design. Like I was never good at like spreadsheets and PowerPoint, any of that stuff. So it's like, I think in such a almost coincidental way for Logan and I, we found out that our strengths and weaknesses paired up so well.
Or they developed out of the need.
Absolutely.
I took on one thing and he took on the other.
We divide and conquer kind of thing. At the beginning, I think we tried to do a lot of things like, hey, we're both going to tackle every single step. And we still have to. There's some stuff for sure we both need to be in on. But at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, stuff just needs to get accomplished. It's just like, you go tackle that over there, and I'm going to put out this fire over here, and we're going to come back in the middle and communicate. And,
and then like trust overarcs, like, because I trust him wholly with the mornings. Like, maybe I was worried about the business in its entirety in the beginning, but now like I sleep comfortably in the mornings. I know Chad's going to be there. But and like, I don't know. I think on some level we are just really compatible as far as how we handle and operate.
And I think any of the personal stuff, we're pretty good about keeping. If that was part of the question, was like, don't go into business with your best friend, because eventually there's going to be conflict of you hurt my feelings kind of thing. I think we've always been pretty good, even though we're best friends. Like we've known each other for we always pretty good about keeping that stuff to the side. We have our personal talks. We talk about things that are going on. If we have things that need to be brought up that are touchy, patience, a big breath, and just communicating, we eventually find a common ground in it. And maybe that's the big thing that people should consider if they're trying to work with someone else. Like, is that person you're considering working with? If they're a friend, okay, maybe not the best choice. However, is your friend actually a sane, capable, level individual? Because I've had friends that I may not be friends with now over the years that I literally at one point I would have considered them like family, but they were the most dysfunctional people I knew. And I wouldn't trust them with anything, even though they were some of the closest friends I had. And that sounds so weird, but it's like you need to be able to trust and you need to be able to know that person. And Logan and I, we worked together for 3 years before we actually jumped over here. So there was 3 years.
We knew how we worked,
talking, communicating before we jumped in.
And then I want to say like the friendship was born out of like we had the same mindset. Honestly, I think it was like what brought all of us three together was like we were just hungry for improvement. And whether that be from like a physical standpoint or just education or just learning, like you can almost sense it. That it was like, we're all just going to be students for the rest of our lives. And how do we just keep improving? And it was like, oh, cool. We're all in this to get better together. As cliche as that is, it was like, we all had that. And that common thing was what, again, it was like, okay, if I need to tackle this thing, I'll learn how to do it. And Chad will tackle this thing and go off and learn how to do that. And but it's weird. It's like we on some level do have to separate kind of like the personal from the business. And it's a fine line you want to write. Because I like, all this being said, I couldn't imagine like having a personal lifelong friend that I started business with, and then like that's what split us. I don't know. It's all business. It's not personal. But I don't know. I could see it. It's one of those. We're just very fortunate to be we work really well together.
We met in a work environment.
Maybe that's what helped it.
I think that helped a lot. I mean, if you go into business with your best friend that you've known since you both used to eat each other's boogers, like, maybe that's not the dude that you need to be with, because there is like this long history. And we have history now, but I don't know. You definitely get this fine line, like, because you want to be able to. I want to be able to comfortably talk to Logan about personal stuff, because I can.
And we have to as well, because like something that's hurting us personally in our lives, that's going to affect the business, And I can't get mad about that. It's like, okay, it's like, bro, we got to solve these problems. That's how do we do that? And we can do that together. Yeah, I'm here for you, man.
But that can be hard. If you work for, like, we'll pick on the big global gyms again. If you are a trainer for a gym like that, and you work for a superior that you don't trust, you're not close with in any capacity, and something is going on personally in life, and it is affecting your work, and you get chewed out on a regular because you're late, because things are just falling apart elsewhere that you can't even feel comfortable explaining, that's a problem. People are people. People are going to have their ups and downs. People are gonna they're gonna run into stuff outside of work, and there's just no way around that. But you need to be able to be comfortable enough to, I guess, communicate it to some extent, talk about it, like try to work around it. And so again, we have a community gym. We have a place that we don't have so much of a superior to answer to, so much as like a team of people that all respect each other. And what we're all here to do. We're all trying to just be the best at this job that we can be. So
Yeah. What do you guys feel like? Because obviously gyms can be kind of, I mean, it's a tough business, just like opening a physical therapy clinic or opening a restaurant. A lot of just small businesses are difficult. What do you feel like for you running a gym, looking down the road in terms of scalability to try to grow it to a point where you feel like, all right, I'm good on my retirement fund. I make enough money to do everything I want, or whatever the case may be. But Chad, pure confusion. But yeah, what do you guys think? Even maybe just from the sake of growing the business, what do you think in terms of scaling down the road?
I mean, there's kind of a few plays that I'm considering, or that I would be thinking about. I think we've talked about it a few times. I'll lay out like the top three, right? So take this place and move it into something bigger. Some sort of multiple location, whether that be a franchise or we open location two, and then acquiring this property and turning it into maybe a real estate play, or having leverage there and then turning that into a multiple location play. So that's kind of what we're thinking, like, okay, it's got to move in one of those directions at some point in time. We're not there yet, so I don't know exactly which one's going to take off. But I guess just speaking largely to, like, what are we going to do? It's like, well, we have options. Let's see where it takes us. And that might have just been one of our one of the ways we like will, test, retest, check, that sort of model is like, we'll put it out there, we'll do it, we'll see how it goes, and if it doesn't go the way we want it, then we fine tune it and turn it into something else. But that's kind of the idea of, like, how are we going to expand this? It's got to grow in some fashion. And I think we said from the very beginning, it was one of those things that was like, okay, this place is only going to do so well given the constraints of physical building shit.
Right.
So where do we go from there? And it's just been build it one day after the next. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Best answer right here.
What do you feel like is the most surprising experience or component of the experience of opening and owning your own business that you wouldn't have thought of before?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, were you surprised by the amount of effort it took, or you were surprised by how stressful it was, or maybe you were surprised by how valuable the freedom is, or I don't know, or maybe it's a specific thing, like you were surprised that it would be that hard to get members in, or you were surprised that not more members came from the other, people you already knew, or something like that.
I mean, I think there was definitely a degree of I don't know if it was so much surprise, but it slowly set in like a weird realization, like waking up from a dream. We had this dream in our mind that TriFit Barbell would be this immaculate facility with people just banging on the door to get some gains, and it wasn't like that at all at the beginning. Unfortunately, it was much slower, that linear progression in members was very stagnant for a while. We would get a new face very, very
monthly.
It was so infrequent. So I think probably the biggest realization for us, or at least me, and you could definitely add to this, is how patient we would end up having to be with everything going on. Like, at the end of the day, we would you said that you would say this all the time, is just like, if we're not doing something, what could we be doing? Something like that.
So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be this thing that we can point to and be like, we're doing that.
Yeah, we need
and that's
to do
going to supposed to help that.
Yeah.
It was this
I don't
constant
know
like,
if there
well,
was
what are we
ever
doing?
quite that all the time. Like sometimes the answer was
You had to
simply
reflect.
give it more time, you know, very, very much like try to do your very best with people that are already with us. We had a fistful of people that were forever thankful. They were the original members. They supported us. They really brought the traction. And
Yeah.
you know, if we didn't have anybody, we might not have ever got out of it. But we had 20 or so people ish, something like that, come through. It was around there. It wasn't 100%. And then just started building a community. We had a lot of support from friends. I think that's really important. Getting into any business, I think you do have to take a step back and realize that like friendships and people's words and intentions don't always match their actual like.
Yeah, I would say
they do.
that is probably the thing that surprised me. People, you know, like, and I don't want to say this like negatively, but
Say it.
well, we were told
I'll
by
say it.
a lot of people that, oh yeah, I can't wait till you guys are open. I'm gonna sign right up, and then
I remember that.
0, dude. It was like, so you know, you never really trust until ink's on the paper.
Well, we lost. We had trust.
Yeah.
We had trust originally.
But you want to talk about like, at this point, nothing. I don't want to say nothing surprises me, right? It's like I'm still surprised by things, but it's largely I find it's more these slow realizations after these little things have happened over the long term that you're like, oh, so that's how it works, you know? Or, oh, maybe, you know, I was stressing for no reason, or, oh, maybe I should have been worried about that 5 months ago because now it's finally come to pass, you know, like, yeah. I guess it's like you can have little surprising things, but it's more like these long-term realizations that you kind of slip into, you know?
You think if
like,
we build it, they will come.
Yeah,
It's like sort of, it's like you have to build it, then you have to scream it from the rooftop for months.
Yeah,
and then they'll eventually be like, what the hell is that noise?
Yeah.
And then they'll come over. So there's steps between where we started to where we are now that unforeseen. Like there was no way for anybody to tell us that it was coming because our business is just different than a lot. We didn't want to just snag up some franchise. We talked about being a CrossFit gym and getting an affiliate because we thought, okay, CrossFit tends to bring a certain amount of people because they just know the name. CrossFit, I know what that is. They'll come. But then we're like, that's not us. We wanted to be us. We wanted to be original and genuine. And we had talked about there was this separation between your CrossFit performance gyms and then these big niche gyms, and how could TriFit be the best blend of both, and just supply people and with everything that they're looking for in just one place. And I think we almost needed the time, kind of like I wish it would have been a little faster for sure. But if we had the amount of members we had now at the beginning, we probably couldn't have handled it.
No.
We couldn't have. We're not worthy of skill.
Yeah.
The business grew and we grew as coaches, and our system grew at the pace that we grew membership.
The timeline where like, as far as our growth, like, you know, we've just been growing along with it, and it's been handleable, you know what I mean? Like we've been able to handle that process quite nicely. Like it's been good the way it's happened. Let's put it that way.
Do you guys read your Google reviews?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why you just give us one back?
Why did you wait this long?
Yeah, I have given you one for the record.
I hope so.
I know. I read them.
Do you know what your worst Google review says?
Yes.
Yes, we do. It's 3 stars too, though, right?
I think it's 2 stars.
I thought it was lower than 3. Maybe it is 3.
I think it's a 2-star review from someone. We're not even sure if they actually came here.
Can you tell the audience what the Google reviewer said?
It's like great coaches,
fantastic gym,
fantastic gym, no air conditioning, 2-star, and it was just like you build us up, and then just
oh my god,
it's
like air conditioning is 3 stars worth of, and then it's like great coaching, great facilities, great environment, wonderful community, supportive staff, excellent showers, clean facility, large variation of equipment, I'll give you 2 stars for those things. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the AC, what the fuck?
Hey, that's like, people do need to know that. Like, we don't have AC.
It's true, but
But
to take away 3 stars, like I wonder if that dude also like rates other businesses on the same kind of like style. It's just like, all right, this restaurant, great food, great staff. There was some dirt by the door, 2 stars.
Yeah.
Like,
Small
what?
forks.
I need to actually thank that dude, right? Because I've heard some things where it's like, if you're a company on these reviews, if you're a company, 1,000 5-star reviews, I'm gonna look at that and be like, bullshit.
yeah.
There's no way
I'm
you have that many
scrolling, so, like,
5-star
I
reviews.
wanna
You know,
find that
I want a
one
nice
review.
4.5.
To be fair, though, the review that was left was pretty perfectly like, hey, everything is great. No
Maybe he was helping
AC.
us out.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even say like these guys are assholes or something like that.
Yeah. Which would have been an honest review. No.
That was the perfect review to make you guys seem like a legitimate business.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Nice. What do you guys want to talk about? You guys have busy schedules? You want to keep talking more? You want to talk training or what? What are we doing here?
I mean, you're gone, man. I've been here longer than I am.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean,
How long have we been chatting now? A little bit an hour?
It's 2:00, so it's been about an hour. I mean, I don't know. You guys have any questions for me? I'm a newly employed physical therapist.
Dude, we absolutely need. Well, so
should we maybe make that a separate video? I don't want to cut it short at all, but I'm just wondering, at least for like posting and stuff like that, like an hour-long video is awesome, but probably best as what, like a podcast? Like, how long can you even post YouTube videos nowadays? Like,
You can post whatever you want, dude. You can post 10 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had like, yeah.
Yeah, no, because like I've used like white noise while I'm studying or sleeping or whatever, and like 12-hour videos. Yeah. No, there's no.
So when do you start in? Are you like starting in it this week?
The job?
Yeah.
No, so I start on August 31st, which is a Monday. So I still have a month of kind of.
No, the 30th. Oh, August 31st. Okay.
Yeah, August 31st.
Well, yeah, no, that would actually, let's keep this one. Yeah, we've been here an hour, right? Let's keep this one now to this, and then next week we'll collab on some questions for you.
We can do a little more bouncing back and forth, and then
maybe we can even let's kind of work on our setup a little bit. We'll get some mics, maybe some better ways to get different cameras or something.
Yeah. Do either of you play video games?
Yeah.
What do you play? Like not game, but what system?
PC.
So you must have a headset, right?
I did, yeah.
With a 3mm, 6mm aux cord, it's a regular headphone jack?
Yes. It does have a USB adapter, which I think I have it in, but.
Well, as long as it's a regular auxiliary jack, that would probably be perfect for this stuff, that gaming mic. And then I don't know if you want to do it in the same location, but Chad, I mean, it worked fine with just your headphones last time. So whatever you guys want to do. But,
the only thing is my PC I don't have a webcam. I might actually, I'll have to look into that.
But you could plug it in your phone if it's a regular headphone jack.
Oh, that's true. I could try that.
Yeah, like I've done that with I when I talk on the phone and I'm walking around the house or like cooking or whatever, I just grab my gaming headphones and put those on and then like talk on the phone on them.
Nice.
So yeah, that would work. But
also, we want to set this Fridays around 12:45.
I think if we could try to make it somewhat of a regular schedule, would be cool. That would each week we try to reserve that time. So I don't know. One, I like consistency. I like the schedule.
No, yeah, I like the hour-long format. I think would work really well.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool because it'll give us a whole week of stuff to just ask questions and shit comes up. But that'd be a cool topic.
I think we'll focus on therapy this next week, so we can definitely ask you some questions.
Yeah, we can do rehab, training, whatever. I'm still recording, so if there's anything left you want to say, I know I'm gonna just go ahead and post this on the YouTube channel that I used to post on. It was actually funny posting the last one because I was looking through some of the old videos. It's funny seeing yourself like 5-6 years ago, especially when I was
Oh,
super lean with the bodybuilding shows and stuff, or
Dude,
super skinny.
one popped on my Facebook from 2012 when I worked at Coffee Underground.
I
So
saw
was
it. I
just
saw
when I
that.
started at Sports Club. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember thinking I was kind of big then, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, I did bicep curls.
Yeah. You were lean though. You were lean
Yeah.
and had like you had a good physique, I feel like, even back then.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
I mean, now you're like a tank.
Yeah.
Large muscular man. But yeah, so I'll post this on my YouTube channel, and then on my Instagram, I think it's at maxlepage.dpt. And then are you guys going to post it on your TriFit YouTube, Facebook? I don't know.
Yeah, so I have the video of you and I that I'm gonna post as well. I just didn't want to go ahead and jump the gun and just have that like post and just kind of throw it out there. But we had to log into our YouTube, so I want to post some sort of like at least a section of what we talked about yesterday, and then a link to our YouTube channel so that people can watch the entire video and learn a little bit more about you as we, especially now that we're going to continue to do this on a regular. We want people to know who is Max and what's
I mean, if you could just like last time get the video shared over to us, we'll share it on all our socials, which is all
I think did you
Barbell.
add him as well to like the Google?
I did, yeah. And then what's your guys' social media, like Instagram, TriFit stuff?
TriFit Barbell. You can find us on all socials there.
All right.
Yeah. TriFit Barbell.
Perfect. Boys, it was nice talking to you.
Max,
I will talk to you next week or whenever we do this again. I appreciate the insight on the business stuff. And then we'll be back and we'll talk about some other good shit.
Yeah, thanks for leading this one, man. We'll hit you up.
See you, boys.
Later.